Hey everyone, Safa is here, the realtor with Royal Pacific Realty Corp. Welcome to the May 2026 Greater Vancouver and Metro Vancouver real estate market update. This month, the data has some real surprises. Detached prices in Coquitlam just had their strongest monthly jump in over a year, and one corner of the market is firmly in seller's territory. Let's dig in. Let's start with the big picture. 4 numbers to orient you. First, Coquitlam detached. The median sale price in May came in at $1.767 million. That is a 10% jump from April. That's a significant move for a single month. Second, North Vancouver attached. The median there came in at $845,000, which was actually down 17% month over month. I'll explain why that's not the contradiction it sounds like in a moment. Third, the Tri-Cities saw 85 detached homes change hands in May. Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam, and Port Moody combined. And fourth, there is exactly one seller's market in the entire region right now. One. North Vancouver attached, 22% sales ratio. That's the headline. Everything else is either balanced or buyer leaning. Keep that context in mind as we go through the numbers. Looking at detached prices across the region, the range goes from $1.31 million in Port Coquitlam all the way up to $2.83 million on Vancouver's west side. For Tri-Cities buyers, Port Coquitlam remains the most accessible entry point. Coquitlam at $1.77 million and Port Moody at $1.79 million are in a similar range. Now, sales ratios matter here. Coquitlam, Burnaby, Richmond, and West Vancouver are all below 12%. That means you're in buyer's market territory for detached. Sellers in those areas, pricing strategy matters more than ever right now. You're not going to list at a peak price and expect multiple offers. The data does not support that. Buyers, you have negotiating leverage, and the numbers back that up. For condos and townhomes, the range is narrower, from $603,500 in New Westminster up to $922,500 on Vancouver's west side. What stands out this month is the movement. Port Coquitlam attached jumped 13% in a single month to $700,000. Richmond attached gained 16% to $748,800, and Coquitlam attached actually softened 6% to $668,000. So within the Tri-Cities alone, you have Port Coquitlam and Port Moody tightening, while Coquitlam has more inventory and some price softness. If you're a buyer looking for a condo under $700,000, Port Coquitlam is where I'd be looking right now. Sales ratio is the metric I watch most closely. Here's how to read it. We divide the number of homes sold by the number of homes listed and express it as a percentage. Below 12% is a buyer's market. Too much supply, not enough demand. Between 12 and 20% is balanced. Above 20% is a seller's market, where demand outpaces supply and sellers hold the pricing power. In May, for detached, every single area is either balanced or buyer leaning. The highest detached ratio is North Vancouver at 18%, right at the top of the balanced range. For attached, most of the region is balanced, except North Vancouver, which hit 22%. That's the one area where if you're a buyer, you cannot afford to hesitate. Everything else, you have time and leverage on your side. This chart shows Coquitlam's 13-month price trend, detached in blue, attached in purple, from May 2025 all the way through May 2026. For detached, the story is a gradual softening from the spring 2025 peak of $1.66 million down to a low around $1.57 million in September, then a recovery through the fall and winter, and then that notable jump to $1.77 million in May. Is that a sustained recovery? The single-month move is encouraging, but I'd want to see June and July hold before calling it a definitive turn. For attached, the line has been relatively stable in the $650 to $760 range. The June 2025 peak of just under $800,000 has not been revisited. Attached pricing is holding, but it's not pushing meaningfully higher. That's actually healthy. It keeps the Coquitlam attached market accessible. Blue represents active inventory, homes available for sale. Green represents homes that actually sold in May. The gap between blue and green tells you a lot. Look at Vancouver West Side. Over 700 listings, 78 sales. That is a wide gap. Buyers in Westside Detached have options and time. Now look at Port Moody. 119 listings, only 14 sales. Smaller pool, but still a balanced ratio. The tightest gap in absolute terms on the attached side is North Vancouver. 635 listings, 140 sales. That gap is closing fast. North Vancouver attached is where the demand-supply equation is most compressed, and that's exactly why it's the only seller's market in the region. 4 takeaways I want you to walk away with. First, the Tri-Cities is sending mixed signals. Coquitlam detached is showing strength, while attached is softening. If you're a buyer, the attached market in Coquitlam offers real negotiating room right now. If you're a seller of a detached home, May's data is encouraging, but the sales ratio at 10% still means you need to price accurately. Second, North Vancouver attached is the one place in this entire market where sellers hold all the cards. 22% sales ratio, 140 units sold. If you have a condo or townhome there, now is a very good time to be selling. Third, Port Coquitlam and Richmond attached both jumped double digits in a single month. The sub-750 corridor is tightening. Buyers who have been waiting, that window may be narrowing. Fourth, detached buyers in West Vancouver, Richmond, Burnaby, and Coquitlam still have leverage. Average sale-to-list ratios in those markets are running 3 to 7% below asking. That's real negotiating power. Let's walk through the Tri-Cities row by row. Coquitlam detached, 1.77 million, up 10%. 10% sales ratio, 46 sales, 24 days on market. That's a buyer's market, but prices moved up. Watch this space. Coquitlam attached, 668,000, down 6%, 13% ratio, 107 sales, 19 days. Balanced, slightly softer. Port Coquitlam detached, 1.31 million, up 2%, 15% ratio, 25 sales, 14 days. Balanced and moving. Port Coquitlam attached, 700,000, up 13%, 17% ratio, 41 sales, 22 days. Solid momentum. Port Moody detached, 1.79 million, down 7%, 12% ratio, 14 sales, 8 days. Balanced. And those 8 days on market tell you that when the right property came along, buyers were ready. Port Moody attached, 732.5, down 8%, 15% ratio, 34 sales, 22 days. Balanced, with a bit of price softness. Days on market. How long from the day a home is listed to the day it's sold? Fewer days means more urgency from buyers, which generally means less room to negotiate on price. More days means you have time to be strategic as a buyer. The fastest market in May? Port Moody detached, 8 days. That's fast. When homes are selling in under 2 weeks, sellers have pricing power, even if the overall ratio is sitting at 12%. The slowest? Richmond detached at 27 days, and Richmond attached at 29 days. Sellers in Richmond, your pricing strategy needs to account for a longer runway. Buyers in Richmond, you have time to do your due diligence, get your financing lined up, and make a considered offer. That's a comfortable position to be in. That wraps up the May 2026 update. If you found this useful, please like and subscribe. I put these out every month. Now, if you're thinking about buying or selling anywhere in Greater Vancouver or the Tri-Cities, I'd love to connect. No pressure, no sales pitch, just an honest conversation about where the market is and what the right strategy looks like for your specific situation. You can reach me at 604-788-9882. I'm Safa, and I'll see you next month.